All right, welcome in. It is Thursday. It's time for total bases, and the I guess the games cooperated yesterday because we've got enough baseball to talk about. Three of the four teams win the elimination game, if you will, and now we've got three games today. So, Bryan, Leonard, Tokyo, Brandon, welcome in. Looking forward to talking some ball with you guys. Since we only have three games, TD, I'm going to go to you first, and then we'll go to Bryan Leonard. I know you had something you wanted to say about that Dodgers game or that series. So why don't you wrap that series up for us and say what you had to say?
Okay. The Reds proved to us why they did not deserve to be in the playoffs yesterday. Terry Francona, good manager. He knows baseball, but yesterday he made some really stupid decisions. The Reds were one swing away from tying that game late, and they gacked it away. Third base, less than 2 outs situation again, blew it. But the Reds were winning at one point, and then they gave it away. They were losing 3-2, and Freddie Freeman came up to bat with a guy on first and second, and they intentionally walked him to load the bases to face Teoscar Hernandez, who hit 2 home runs yesterday. Dumbest decision I've seen. I don't understand why you do that. The Reds just they choked in every situation they had to get back in the game. And they actually should have won that game yesterday, despite the score. They were one swing away from tying that. They had the bases loaded. One swing, they would have tied that game. But, loser teams are just losers, and they didn't belong in the playoffs. Francona made a stupid decision, and they lost the game. So that's my rant on the Reds.
Follow-up question for Bryan. Do you think the Mets fare better in that series, or is it the same result?
The way the Mets have been playing, probably same result. Talent-wise, the Mets have a far better talent than the Reds. But I was happy for the Reds to get in. They got 2 games of playoffs for these young guys, and we'll see what happens in the future. But he used to be the manager of Cleveland, obviously, and I've seen a few times where his gut thought process did not line up with the analytics. So that's one of the reasons why he's no longer in Cleveland, because Stephen Vogt's high on the analytics, and that's why he got the job.
Well, that's kind of like, again, it's been a theme of our first 2 playoff total bases shows, and I feel like it's a good place to start today. Before we even get into the Tigers-Guardians game, I was on the Tigers yesterday, took a loss on that one. That being said, it's a play I would have made again, and I don't think that A.J. Hinch got outmanaged. I think, like, at some point, A.J. Hinch can't go out there and run the bases. A.J. Hinch can't knock a guy in with runners in scoring position. I'm still handicapping these managers as much as I'm handicapping the teams going into into each game. I actually love the Tigers game plan yesterday. They got Mize out there early, like I would have wanted them to. Went to a pitcher, Bryan, that you and I have been high on this year in Melton to get that left heavy lineup. So it's like, they just didn't execute. It didn't work out. But that's was my big takeaway from yesterday is I still think Hinch is managing at a high level, and I'm still putting a lot of stock into these managers. I got to be honest, I got a little bit lucky to get out of there with a push in the Yankee game. Boone keeps giving me reasons to not really want to back him. I didn't think he should have left Rodon in. So I think it's just a point I'll continue to drive home as we do these shows. Managers in the postseason, it's easy to second guess. All the decisions are tough, and the players still have to go out and execute. So I'll still be looking at that. Any takeaways for you in that area?
Yeah, being a Cleveland fan, I was glad they took Mize out because they weren't hitting him, and I'm not fearful of the Detroit bullpen. So they even used their best, what I would consider their 2 best relievers yesterday, and still did not get the victory. Today may be a little bit different, but they're both solid managers, and Cleveland just outlasted them yesterday. We'll see what happens today, but we've got Detroit at Cleveland today. Flaherty against Ciccone. We're looking at basically a 120 favorite for Cleveland. Total of 7 to the over. And first thing I want to look at, obviously, is the ballpark factors for all the teams. Progressive Field's blowing in from right to home plate a little bit. The runs are expected -1 over a normal Progressive Field game. Wrigley Field's also going from right to left. They're going to be -9. But Yankee Stadium, hard right to left, minus 14. Now that makes a big difference in the Yankees games because of the short porch in right field, which means if you're looking for the total in that game, chances are it's got a better chance of going under than it had been in the recent past. When I'm looking at Flaherty going for Detroit, and he seems to be playing Cleveland a lot lately, comes in with a 4.64 ERA, 4.04 expected, 1.28 whip. He's got a good strikeout percentage, 82nd percentile. Still have concerns about his barrel, hard hit rate, and ground ball rate, 18, 22nd, and 23rd percentile. But in this game, I think that he's got a little bit of an advantage from a starting pitcher standpoint. Slade Ciccone, yes, he's been up and down lately, but that's better than he's been in the past. In 3 seasons in the majors, he got a 5.07 ERA, but it's 4.30 this year, and his expected is 5.22. So we basically know what we're going to get out of him. He's a fringe starter, maybe 5 on most teams, maybe a 4 on a team that struggles. And his walk rate is terrific, 85th percentile. But the problem is he doesn't want to walk anybody, so he throws the ball right down the plate. Average exit velocity, 2nd percentile. Chase rate, 2nd percentile. Hard hit rate, 1st percentile. Barrel rate, 3rd percentile. The Tigers are a team that's pretty good on hitting from 1 to 9. I think they'll have some success here. And when you take a look at the bullpens, I think this is what really puts me on the Detroit side. Cade Smith threw 50 pitches the last 2 days. Hunter Gaddis, 39 pitches, and Sobrowski, 26 pitches. Now, will they get a chance to come out? If Cleveland is leading, these are the 3 guys you're going to see. Problem is, they're on the 3rd day of 3 in a row. I know they got the next day off, probably the next 2 days off or whatever, if they do win. But they'll let it all hang out, and I still can't expect the same success as what they've had in the past because that while Detroit's bullpen looks like it fares much better here, I think Detroit should be at least a pick 'em in this game, and I'm able to get right now as high as 113 at Pinnacle, 112 at Bet Online. You can get as low as 105 just about everywhere. So I'm going to take this as my parlay leg. I'm going to take Detroit to win the game at plus. Let's go about 107. Let's go Detroit plus 107, and that'll be my parlay piece. It's only 3 games today. It's harder to pick them as opposed to the 4 that we had the last couple, but we'll give it a shot. We'll go with Detroit as my part of the parlay.
Everyone, Wager Talk made a wacky decision. They're letting us make our MLB plays $9. That's crazy. Anything except a 5% play, we can put out MLB plays for $9. That includes 4% plays, which are normally 25. Huge value. So go to wagertalk.com and see what we have up. I have a play up today for $9 in MLB. Listen closely and you'll probably figure out what it is as I do my analysis for each game. Regarding this one, these are 2. I've been mentioning this in shows all year, but there's some, when you do this for a living, there's some pitchers that are just thorns in your side. Every time you back them, they gack. And every time you fade them, they go 7 innings, 1 run ball. And both of these pitchers do that to me every time I back or fade them. Flaherty and Ciccone, both guys that I just pick them the wrong way. So let's take a look, though. Ciccone's kind of weird. His stats against Detroit, he's got a really low average against, but he's got a fairly high OPS. So I don't know what to make of that. They don't hit him often, but when they do, they go long, is what I make out of that. Flaherty on the road, he's got almost a 5 ERA. Against these guys, yeah, he's done good work against these guys in his whole career. But I don't know. I like Cleveland's bullpen a little bit better than Detroit's. If anything, I would lean Cleveland here. It's not enough for me to take them, though. The outs props I took a look at, kind of interesting. Ciccone only 14.5 outs. Will he or will he not finish 4 innings? I think he can finish 4 innings. It's all or nothing here. It's balls to the wall. These guys, there's no tomorrow. Got to win this game. I don't think he'll struggle. that much. I mean, he might give a run or two, but I don't think that's means for pulling him that early. I like his outs prop over here if I were to do anything. Although, again, he's been a thorn in my side his entire career and my entire career. So not sure if I'm going to do it or not. But if anything, I think that's a little bit low.
I think Sacconi's out of this game the second he's in trouble. I'll be really, really surprised if Vogt is gonna extend him the sort of leash to allow the Tigers to put up a crooked number, because that's really how I'm looking at this game. So yesterday on the show, I gave out the over 6.5. Probably didn't deserve to win that, but it did get there with the big eighth inning from the Guardians. That being said, there was offense in the game. It was mostly the Tigers, and they just could not get a hit with runners in scoring position. They ran themselves out of an inning that could have been not only would it have given them a second run, they would have had another at bat with guys on base. That could have been a big inning. So even though the over got there yesterday, it didn't get there in the way I thought it would, where it was just kind of like both teams doing some scoring. Today, I think you're going to see scoring in this game. I don't think this is going to be a low scoring game. Slade Sacconi, he's really rates out as poor. If you look at him relative to other pitchers in the league, he is in the bottom 1% of the league in hard hit rate. That's not a guy you want starting a big time postseason game, which is why I don't think, and Bryan just pointed out, Vogt being like an analytic type guy. And then of course, this is game 3. You're going to have tomorrow off no matter what. And it's only a 3-game series, which means you're sitting on a guy, probably one or two guys that's been starting games for you this year that isn't going to have to start in this series. I would be really, really surprised if Sacconi is allowed to work through trouble. If he's cruising, he'll stay in. But the second the Tigers have a couple of guys on and it's not a favorable matchup, I think you're going to see Vogt go to the bullpen. Now, the interesting thing here is Hinch is the more likely of the two to do that. But I feel like Flaherty is maybe owed a little bit more like respect maybe than a Casey Mize. I think Hinch will have a tougher time giving Jack Flaherty the hook because of his he's a veteran guy. He's been around the game a long time. He commands a little bit more respect, in my opinion. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Flaherty's in trouble early. I think you're going to let him. I think you're going to see Hinch at least let him try to work out of a jam and maybe go 4 or 5 innings. I don't know that that's the best thing for the Tigers either. Outside of like a pretty nice strikeout rate this year, nothing Flaherty has done has been super impressive to me. He rates out as average to below average in many categories. So I'll run it right back here with the over. I haven't even looked at what it is. 7. So like the fact that you can get a 7 flat, obviously 6.5 yesterday, that half run ended up mattering. And it was the difference between cashing your ticket or pushing. I think it ended up going off 7 a lot of places yesterday. But when we did the show, it was still 6.5. Right now, this is 7. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets up to 7.5 by game time some places, at which point I wouldn't like it because that 7 is a very, very key number. That 7 means 3-3. Remember, you're not getting the ghost runner anymore. So like 3-3, more often than not, if it were to go to extra, is probably going to end 4-3. So I think that 7 is very important. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is the game that ends up being like 6-5 because, and I'll go back to one more point that Bryan said, and maybe this is why he wants to chime in. I don't think either team's bullpen fears the other right now or thinks that they couldn't do something late in this game either. So full game over is what I'm looking at here. Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, Real Mike has just pointed this out to me. The Guardians have been using a 6-man rotation, and obviously in the playoffs, it's not the case. But you've got the righty Sacconi in there right now, and Joey Cantillo last pitched on Saturday. So this would be his normal time to probably pitch, and he's a lefty, and I like him actually better than Sacconi. It would not surprise me if Sacconi gets in early trouble. They'll bring in the lefty Cantillo, and that would eliminate a couple of the Tigers' good bats that only bat against righties. They don't play against lefties. So it may be a way to get Carpenter out of the game and some others. So it would not surprise me if they did do a piggyback here.
Interesting note. Chaconi's faced these Tigers 2 times this season and went 6 innings both times, allowing only 3 earned runs in both of those starts. Granted, the playoffs are a different animal, but I think he's going to have a pretty good game. That's just my sense.
Well, TB, if he's rolling, if he's cruising, Vogt's not going to touch him because he can. It's not like they're worried about. I don't think Vogt is worried about him second time, third time through. I just think it's like it's going to be based on if the Tigers are timing him up or not. And if I'm saying I don't think he's going to get the opportunity to get into trouble and then get out of it. I think if he gets into trouble, they're going to go to someone else. I think if he's rolling and he goes through the order, gives up 1 hit, and he's got 3 scoreless, he'll definitely be back out there in the 4th. It's really just
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. When was the last time this Tigers lineup got a pitcher in trouble?
First inning yesterday. They should have had runs. Like that's the thing. The Tigers have been knocking on the door. Mm-hmm. They have just, what are they, Brian, do you have what they are with runners in scoring position in this series?
I don't. I think
it's like two and like a lot. That's what it is. I don't have it right here either. Yesterday at one point in the game yesterday, the Tigers were 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The Guardians were 0 for 0. Like, I'm pretty sure that's an actual thing. I think the Guardians, when they got that hit with runners in scoring position yesterday, they were, because of course the 1 run came off the homer. They didn't have a runner in scoring position at bat, I don't think, until they got the hit in the 8th inning that gave them the lead. So there was a point in time yesterday where the Tigers were 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The Guardians were 1 for 1. And that's just, hey, that's playoff baseball. Getting the opportunity, capitalizing on it. The Guardians did that. But the Tigers have had plenty of chances. And right off the bat yesterday, first and second, no outs. They can't capitalize. So, again, it's an interesting conversation. And it's really the managers could do so much. I mean, there's going to be so many chances in this game where Hinch has to make a decision, Vogt has to make a decision, and then whoever makes the wrong one is going to have to go on that podium after and answer why they did that. It's going to be a very interesting game and one that could go many, many different ways.
Yeah, the final on the was 1 for 15 for the Tigers yesterday.
Ooh, I think Tony's going to have a good game. I just sense it. But I sense that the Reds were going to put the Dodgers in trouble, and the Reds had the lead yesterday. So my sense has been okay so far.
Yeah. I'm going to wait for these last 2 games. I really do like that over though. I think that over is a good bet. Okay, let's move on. Let's go. Padres Cubs. TB, I thought of you when I was watching the series yesterday, because I remember you making the comment, this is like neck and neck. This is a tough series to handicap. I remember you saying, I don't know if I'll have a play in this series. And I've kind of felt that way watching the first 2 games. I passed on the first 2 games. As I watch them play each other, I'm like, man, this is really as even as it gets. I feel like the Padres have been a little bit of value as plus money. But then again, you have to deal with them going into Wrigley. They lose the first game. They come back, they win yesterday. And now we're going into game 3. Brian Leonard, it feels neck and neck again. I don't know if I really know what to do here. So help me out. Padres, Cubs, how are you seeing this one?
Well, I hope I see it better than I did yesterday, because I had the Cubs, and that was our lone loser in the parlay the last 2 days in the playoffs. We've gone 2-1, but lost our parlay. So hopefully we can get it today. Got Darvish against Taillon. Taillon's about a 110, 112 favorite. Total 7.5, heavily to the under. From 13 to minus 120 on the under a lot of places. But Darvish against Taillon. And if you take a look at the starting pitching, I think it's an advantage for Darvish. He comes in with a 5.38 ERA. That's not normal for him. His expected is 3.64. He's pitched a lot better than what that would show on the season. 1.18 whip. Guy throws 8 different pitches. The most 21% of the time. So he's got a great bunch of pitches he can throw at you and surprise you every time. And that's, if you remember, when Darvish was young, he was a fireballer. And by the time he came over here, he's 39 years old now. He's been a terrific pitcher for both Japan and in the United States. Average exit velocity, 91st percentile. Hard hit rate, 95th. Unfortunately, he can't get the chase rate any longer. He's 17% percentile, and whiff rate in the 29th percentile. So He's not going to dad you with his stuff, but when you've got as many different pitches as he has, that's a huge advantage. Jameson Taillon comes in with a 3.48 ERA on the season, 3.88 expected, 1.06 WHIP. A very nice season. After 12-8 last year, he's 11-7 now, and he's got an 82-60 record with the 3.87 ERA in his career, 9 seasons. He's been a pretty good ball player. If you take a look at his StatCast page, though, he looks like a little bit less than an average starter this year. His walk rate's great, at the 93rd percentile, extension 80th, average exit velocity 75th. But I just still have concerns. His ground ball rate's in the 13th percentile. So he does give up some fly balls. His strikeout percentage only in the 22nd, whiff rate 16th, and fastball velocity 20th. He throws 6 different pitches from 7 to 39%. The four-seamer is what he uses the most by far, and it's only 92.3 miles an hour. Your average righty is 95 miles an hour. So he still throws too many four-seamers for me, but I prefer the Padres slightly in this game. And if you take a look at the bullpen for the Padres, they are running into a little bit of trouble tonight as Mason Miller pitched 40 throws, 40 pitches the last 2 days. He was awesome yesterday. You couldn't ask for anything more than what he gave you. Just tremendous strength of them is being able to throw him out there. 104.5 miles an hour he hit on one of those pitches. Morjan also throwing 42. So they got some guys that will still be available, but they may not get the same results out of them. And then when you look at the Cubs are also a team that's got a lot of talent. Obviously, the offense looked like it was coming around, but it did not show up yesterday. Their bullpen on today's card, they did use Kittredge yesterday as the opener. He went 20 pitches, and he had 14 the day before. But other than that, everybody's pretty good. Palencia did not pitch yesterday and had the previous 3 days off. So I think the bullpen may be a little bit better here for the Cubs. But if I'm going to play it, I'm going to play the Padres here. The starting pitcher edge of Darvish over Taillon is not huge, but you're still able to get San Diego as the underdog here with a pitching advantage. And I think that's enough to get me slightly involved here. If I can get something, you can still catch it plus 101 or whatever somewhere else. If I get it up to 105, I think I might be interested in San Diego.
Guys, like I said, Wager Talk allows us to price our MLB plays at $9. And I have one up. I'm sure these guys will too. Free plays as well. Go to wagertalk.com and click the free plays page to see what all the cappers have out. I think the Cubs have the advantage in pitching here. I like Taillon. I mean, in his last 6 starts, he's only allowed 2 earned runs once. In every other start, 1 or less. And his numbers against the Padres, so average, nothing stands out. But Darvish has given up 2 or more earned runs in 6 straight starts. And on the road, he's got a 7.2 ERA in 30 innings. I think the Cubs are going to get to him. Maybe not the first time around, but the second time around, I have a feeling the Cubs are going to get him. So I would lean Cubs first 5 or Cubs over 1.5 in the first 5, something like that. I realize Darvish is a good pitcher and he's got a huge arsenal of pitches. But I just think the innings is taking a toll on him. I don't think Darvish is washed. He's still a good innings eater type guy, but I think the Cubs are just a little too good for that. So that's how I would go in this one.
Similar to game one,
you're the tiebreaker.
You know what? I don't even know if I'm going to break the tie. I think I'm going to go the same route I went in game one and focus on the total, which I do sort of lean over. Bryan, can you give me the ballpark factors for Wrigley again? Sorry, I know you mentioned it at the top of the show.
Yeah. Right now, the home run rate is 10% below normal. Second and third base, doubles and triples, -2%. First base, -5%. And overall runs, -9%.
I think that's probably priced in. I think that's probably reflected in this number of 7.5 being the total. Reason I kind of lean toward the over, I look at both starting pitchers. I see reasons to play against both. We talked about, Darvish may be a little bit deceiving. He might be a little bit better than what his StatCast page kind of shows. There are some, he's not getting hit hard, which is nice. That's, he's still a veteran guy. The one thing I will say about Tyone and Darvish is like, they're veterans that are not going to be, the moment's not going to be too big for them. They've been on this stage before. They've pitched in games like this before. So I'm really not worried about that. But I do think that this game, very similar to the first game we talked about, is going to be full of decisions for these two managers. And I think that the Padres, I think you might see Darvish left in a little bit longer because they have to think, like, here's the thing. The Padres are not going to not use their top relievers because it's win or go home. But I do think that they may be hesitant to go to the bullpen really early because if you look like, you got to start looking at like who's going to be in the game. You talk about Miller it would be his third day. Suarez pitched yesterday. He didn't pitch the day before. I believe Morjan, however you say his name, has pitched back-to-back days. So you almost have to wonder if like Darvish has a little bit longer leash, maybe to get through 5 or 6, or they're like less willing to take him out early because of that. Maybe the Cubs can get to him the second or third time through because again, I mean, he doesn't have like elite strikeout numbers. He's giving up some contact. So the Cubbies could definitely get to him. On the other side, like I really am not a Tyone guy. Like he's someone that I think I've been more willing to fade as the season has gone on. He's getting very little swing and miss, very little strikeout. So doesn't get any ground balls, which maybe the weather factors help him a little bit here. I almost think like, this series so far, the weather has kind of kept me off of some of these bets because I would have probably faded Pivetta in game 1, but I couldn't because I felt like the wind blowing in was helping him a little bit. So maybe those ballpark factors actually help Tyone a little bit here. But man, like you got to think the Cubs with where they're at with pitching, sort of like bullpen depth type stuff, like they may leave him out a little bit longer than they should. So my way I see this game is this: one of these two is going to get left in too long. They're probably going to give up a crooked number. Then you're going to have the Padres have this great bullpen. That's priced in. Everyone knows the Padres have the great bullpen. They've been number 1 in the league for a lot of this year in bullpen metrics, but they're very tired. Now they're on the road. That means that like what's probably going to happen, especially if the Cubs are trailing, these guys are going to be in a big spot, high leverage spot, tired. I don't know if I love that for the Padres right there. And at the same time, I don't know if I trust the Cubs to get late outs in a 2-1 game with the playoffs on the line. So I would like this a lot more if it was similar to the Tigers-Guardian series. You could get a flat 7, but I still think over 7.5 is the way to go. I think it gets there somehow, and you'll have chances from both teams. Sorry, were one of you going to jump in there? Yeah, I'm looking at the over, and I'll tell you right now, my parlay leg is probably going to be one of these two overs, and I'm going to like sit here and think about which one over the next like 15, 20 minutes or so. But I'm kind of neck and neck with those. I think one of these two games, Tigers, Guardians, Cubs, Padres, today is going to see runs. We really haven't seen a ton of like crooked numbers, big innings in either of those series until the 8th inning yesterday with the Guardians. One of those two is going to go off today. I think you see an easy over in one of them where it's like 4-4 in like the 4th or 5th inning. So that's kind of how I'm seeing that one. Roger Long says Padres are bunting for single runs. Yeah, I mean, listen, this is the time of year to play small ball, but don't tell me that that lineup can't take Tyone deep. Even with the wind blowing in, it's very possible. And likewise for the Cubs, I wouldn't be surprised if Darvish gave up a bomb or two as well. All right, I want to pull up. So someone commented on our show yesterday. I wish I had this queued up already because I said I would bring this up today. They made a comment on the Yankees Red Sox series, and I'll see if I can get it quickly. Oh, it's this one right here. Basically kind of said like, Trig, you're wrong about the Red Sox. And it was in that context. And I got to be honest, I think I agree with him. I think I agree after watching the first 2 games that I was probably wrong about the Red Sox being like dead and buried with no Roman Anthony, not having a chance in this series. I feel very, very fortunate having got out yesterday with Yankees -1, getting out with a push. I felt fortunate there. Would have loved a little extra knock in the 8th inning to make that a winner. But hey, that's one that I'm pretty happy about taking a push in, because I really feel like the Red Sox, as I watched the game, were probably the better team most of the night. Big base running mistake by Nate Eaton. You got to come flying around third right there on a ground ball that almost gets up the middle. If he's just rounding third, even if that's fielded cleanly at first, he would have to turn, make the throw home. You're going to be safe all day. I thought the Red Sox made a couple of mistakes. Jaron Duran dropped a ball in left field. That's a play that probably should have been made. So again, after watching the first 2 games, I guess I feel like I was a little bit incorrect about this series so far. I'm not saying that the Yankees can't do it today and move on. Bryan, Leonard, what you were kind of in that same camp where we both kind of like the Yankees going into this series. Have you changed your mind at all about Yankees Red Sox?
Not really. Keep in mind, I give my clients a smaller play, 1.5 star, but on the Yankees at -175. Now, after what we've seen the first 2 games, they're still in that same range, 165 to 175. So I don't think it's changed much. Although I will say, if I'm looking to play Boston from this standpoint, I like the starting pitcher for Boston. Early's going today. He's a lefty, which really makes this Yankees offense switch up. Talked about that, and I'll get to that in a second when I break it down a little bit more. But you're getting about a 165, let's say, and a 7.5 to the under. Conley Early has only thrown 19 and a third innings so far, but he's been really good. Just about everything on his StatCast page. Fastball velocity is not the greatest at 39%, but he only throws 94 miles an hour, which is better than league average for a lefty, 93.1. He comes in with a 2.33 ERA, 2.28 expected, 1.09 WHIP. They do have a new section here on the Baseball Savant page, which I really like, which is pitch usage against lefties and righties. So you could see how often they throw these certain pitches and what they're trying to accomplish in those matchups. And it's something that they didn't have before. I think it really tells you a little bit more detail on how they're going to pitch. But Early's a guy that I like, and he's a lefty, and I think that's the kryptonite from these Yankees, and with something to do with their lineup. Cam Schlittler has been terrific, 2.96 ERA, 3.99 expected. So he's been a little lucky, 1.22 WHIP. Fastball velocity is terrific, 95th percentile, strikeout rate, 82nd percentile. But he still does walk too many batters, only in the 18th percentile in walks, 20th percentile in ground ball rate. So he's a fly ball pitcher that tends to put too many people on base. I like him, but that's not a good combination. What I really wanted to talk about here was the Yankee batters. And I mentioned this the other day. Ben Rice is a lefty. Jazz Chisholm is a lefty. And Riley McMahon, to a lesser extent, is a number 9 batter. But he's a lefty. And now that they've got a lefty going for Boston, they'll probably use Goldschmidt, Cabrera, and Rosario. That's a lot of power differential. Goldschmidt's still a pretty good hitter, and he played very well early in the season, but he's not a power hitter anymore, not much of a power hitter. Cabrera's hits like a couple a year, and Rosario's not much of a power hitter. So you're losing Ben Rice, who if he played every day would be a 30 to a 40 home run guy. Jazz Chisholm, we've seen it. The guy's got a ton of power. And McMahon, in his earlier days, showed more power. But that's a big change for this Yankee lineup, and which gives me more of a reason to lean with Boston or the over here. The under here. The under, because I think they're going against that lefty for Boston, and I like the way Schlittler's been playing. So maybe, I had the Yankees team total over yesterday. It was the only game I gave to my clients. You can get right now the Yankees under 4.5 at about 140, 145. Yesterday was 3.5, so which is why we played the over and got the victory. But maybe the Yankees team total under would be the way to go in this one. But hopefully the Yankees still win. I still got that small player out there for clients. So that's the way I'm rooting in this one.
I'm going to take the Yankees here, and I'm going to make it my parlay leg, and I'll tell you why. Brian's right. Early has been great, but 4 starts, and he hasn't gone past 5 innings, and I like the Yankees bullpen here. As long as they don't put Nuke Weaver in there, I think the Yankees bullpen is solid, and I think their hitting is better. Yes, they're going against a lefty here, but when you break it down, just simply put, I don't think a rookie is going to hold his own in a playoff game against a team that's 50-30 at home. I just don't see it. I think Schlittler's been great. I think he's been much better than I thought he would be. He does have a better ERA on the road, but I mean, like I said yesterday, it's the uglier of two supermodels. He's got a 2.76 on the road and a 3.12 at home. He's got a much bigger sample size. I realize that neither one of these guys have a lot of MLB experience, but to me, Schlittler just seems very composed, and I think he's not going to crack under the playoff pressure. It's a lot to ask a rookie to go on the road and take on a team that's 50-30 and shut them down. I don't think he will. Give me the better bullpen, the better lineup, and the better home record. I like the Yankees here.
And what's the price on that, Brian?
About 166.
Well, I'll break this tie, and I kind of love Boston in this spot. First of all, shout out to minor league baseball fans like myself, Cam Schlittler and Connolly Early. This is like a Worcester Scranton game. You got to love, like, if you want to know the state of Major League Baseball in 2025, the fact that these two are starting a playoff game just tells you, like, where teams are at in terms of, like, lack of pitching, and then just now, like, seeing a guy that has a little bit of potential and saying, yep, you're on the squad. We're going to roll with you. Both of these guys were in Double-A at the beginning of the year. Both had short stints for their respective Triple-A teams. Scranton for the Yankees, Worcester for the Red Sox, and now they are literally both starting with the season on the line. So one thing I'll push back on is this is just as Schlittler's in the same spot as Connolly Early. Like, he was up a little bit sooner, so he has a few more reps at the big league level. But both of these guys started the year in Double-A. Where I think the Red Sox will have it was huge that yes, the Red Sox lost yesterday, but it was very important, in my opinion, that they didn't use Chapman. Because I know they had to be tempted to use him at the end of that game. It was a 3-3 game. They had already, Bayo was out of the game in the 3rd inning. You went through Wilson, Slayton, Matz, Kelly, and that was a decision. And that was what part of the reason I liked the Yankees yesterday and was willing to lay the -1 with the Yankees yesterday is that I thought something like that might happen. And I think the Red Sox managed that correctly. They had the 1-game lead, and they basically said, you know what, we're gonna roll with Garrett Whitlock. Now, the one thing I did think they made a mistake. They should have brought Tolle in to face Austin Wells. That I didn't understand, because if you're gonna bring Peyton Tolle in at some point, why didn't you bring him in to get the lefty that ended up taking the lead in the game? And I think that the at-bat prior, the hitter prior was Jazz. So you would have thought that would have been the spot to bring Tolle in if you were going to bring him in at all. They decided to stay with Whitlock. It ends up costing them the game. But what they didn't do, which a lot of other managers might do there, is bring Chapman in. Because had they brought Chapman in and still lost, they would be in a much worse spot today. Now, I think they're in a fine spot. You're going to have your best reliever on a day rest at the end of the game. So that's big for the Red Sox. And, I'll go back to Brian in a second here because, we've got plenty of time. You can throw it back to me. But, Brian, Ben Rice is going to be in the lineup today. That would be crazy if he's not. He had 2 at-bats yesterday against the lefty. He got a base hit, and then he hit 110 off the bat that got caught. If Ben Rice is not in this lineup today, I will have a large bet on the Red Sox here because that would be a horrible decision by Boone. Go ahead.
He is not. They faced 2 lefties in the last week. He didn't even get in the bat starting in either one of those games. And I will point out that Chapman was warming up, so that does make a difference. He did warm up. He just did not come into the game. And when you warm a guy up and he doesn't come in the game, that's a negative. So, just a little bit more information on the game.
Go ahead, TV.
I'm going to push back a little bit on saying that these guys have equal experience. Schlittler has 71 innings pitched, and Early has 19. I think that's a world of difference.
Yeah, I alluded to that. Like, he's got a little bit bigger sample size at the big league level, but what I'm arguing is the fact that you think 40 or 50 more innings in the regular season is going to make Schlittler like so much more prepared for Early in this spot. Both of these dudes were in Double-A at the beginning of the season. They're both young guys, both college. So they're not young in the respect that it's not like they're 21, 22. Both of these guys, were college pitchers. Connolly Early probably has more experience in games like this, went to Virginia, pitched on bigger stages. Schlittler went to Northeastern. I don't think he ended up, some of those ACC, SEC type ball games have atmospheres similar to this, but still, I think you're splitting hairs trying to figure out which of these first year rookies that started the year in Double-A is like more ready for this game. The point that I think you can make that I definitely have to take into consideration here. One dude has to go in the Yankee Stadium as a visitor. The other has Yankee Stadium behind him. I certainly think that helps Schlittler out a lot. But again, here's when I look at this game. This is how my thought process. Yesterday, the Yankees were a minus 175 favorite. I don't necessarily think that they were the better team yesterday. I think they got outplayed in a lot of ways. I think that there was a couple of things that the Red Sox did to sort of let them off the hook. One of the obviously Durant injury led directly to a run that made it 3-2. The biggest one being horrible base running error by Eaton. You can't tell me someone's on Twitter like, well, the third base coach. Listen, I don't care about the third base coach. When it's that scenario, 2 outs, and you see a ball smoked up the middle, like you got to be flying around third. And then as soon as you see that there might be a play at first as the base runner, I mean, it's quick pick the head up and you're going straight home. And the only way you're not doing that is if you're slow. And Eaton's not a slow guy. So I thought that was a big mistake. If he rounds the base and goes home like he should, the Red Sox score there. So again, I thought the Red Sox were the best. And this is someone that bet the Yankees yesterday. I felt like I was on the wrong side and got a little bit lucky to win. I like Red Sox plus 1.5. I don't know if I can do it at minus 150, but certainly if the Yankees like took money throughout the day and knocked this down 10 to 15 cents, I'll 100% be on that. The value is not enough. Like minus 175, Yankees yesterday, they had a bigger, like Rodon to Bayo was a much bigger edge in my opinion. The Yankees played worse, got away with it, and now they're only a 10-cent difference. That to me says value on the Red Sox. And again, that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it or not.
Yankees have almost 60 more runs, the better bullpen, and a great home record.
Oh, and they have to deal with lefties. They have to deal with lefties.
Plus a more seasoned starter. So I don't know.
And someone in the comments, Steve Duke makes an interesting comment, and I agree with him. I can't find it, but it was something to the tune of neither of these starters is in after the third inning is a real possibility. I actually very much agree with that. I could see both teams very quick to pivot off of either of these guys should they get in trouble. And I wonder if you can find, I wonder if there's a way to like find a prop where it's like, that's what he's saying here. Steve's saying, I went first 3-0. That's the Cubs game. Steve, hop in the comment and say what you said earlier. I can't find your comment, but that would be an interesting prop, like neither pitcher to pitch past the third. It might be offered in some capacity. Like I know they offer first 3 innings, or I wonder what the outs props are, but I don't disagree with that one bit. I wouldn't be surprised if neither of these guys went super deep unless they're totally on.
Schlittler was regularly finishing 6 innings. I don't know about that. And if both pitchers come out after the third, which bullpen do you trust? Yankees.
Yeah, well, no, that's the thing. I definitely think that there's reason to want to leave these guys. I mean, listen, Boone, I thought made a mistake yesterday leaving Rodon in. So if you look at how Boone managed that, you got to think that he's going to want to get to a certain point. But I don't know, TB. Game 3's elimination games, sometimes like these managers just like go off the rails a little bit. It's an interesting discussion. Brian, do you want to weigh in on that at all?
Yeah, I just want to touch on DraftKings. Rob Mocker just showed me here. it's nice to have somebody else listening so we can point this stuff out. Cam Schlittler is 11.5 on his expected outs, and Conley Early is 8.5. So they don't expect him to go very long either.
8.5 means will he or will he not finish 3 innings?
Yep.
And 11.5 means will he or will he not finish 4 innings? Just to translate for people who are not used to betting outs props. I think Schlittler goes at least 5. That's what I think. But I mean, there's no reason to take him out if he's cruising. And Boston, I don't see anyone in Boston's lineup that's that scary. I don't see where this is coming from, but that's just me. Playoff baseball is different. I admit.
This is one of those. This is the game, though. This matchup where we're not having Roman Anthony really hurts. This would be a great. This would be like he would be the guy that would probably match up the best with Schlittler, probably from that lineup. So I do think that his absence is a little bit less pronounced against a left-handed pitcher because his splits are just not as good against lefties at this point. But no Roman Anthony hurts in this game, in my opinion. I think I'm the only one. So first of all, we did all 3 games. We've got a couple extra minutes. Does anyone have anything else they want to say about these 3 games today that they didn't feel like they got in yet? I'll go to you first, Brian.
Not really. Not really. Concerned about the Yankees lineup, and keep in mind, Boone's not a good manager, so he's upset the entire Yankee fan base by doing this. Why would he change now? He's pretty stubborn. So, you may get some three good hitters for the Yankees, maybe starting the game, sitting on the bench. We'll see what happens. It's still really early. We got no lineups right now. The first game has been moved. It was 1:00 earlier the last few days. Now we're at 3:00. So we got more time to study these games as we go on.
I have 2 comments real quick. Isn't it nice to have baseball all day? I said it yesterday, but man, it's so nice. It's almost like an NFL Sunday. You wake up at 9 in the morning. There's baseball until 8 at night. It's so awesome. I'm in Japan, of course. The times are different, but that's one comment. Second comment is: do you think, like the Reds kind of toyed with it yesterday? Do you think in this wild card series that a team would even consider using one of their starters as a reliever this early?
Of course. Absolutely. Yeah. That's like standard practice in these now when it's a 3-game series. That's why you see those.
You got another game. You got another game in 2 days. So I mean, at the end, when you get to the end of the playoffs, yes.
You're not using that starter now. I mean, that's why I talked about with the Cleveland, they've got 2 actual guys that are starters and they've only used 3. So they had a 6-man rotation. So they got plenty of guys that they could bring in.
The Reds did it. Yeah, the Reds did it. Yeah, but do you think the Yankees or Boston would do that today?
Absolutely. That's why you see those out props so low. I don't think either of these managers is married to that option in that game. Where I think you see, like, again, I think all of these teams, okay, like this is win or go home for all 6 teams playing today. I'm pretty sure all of them, every manager has like the quick hook in the back of their mind and who would be the guy. But I do think there are certain guys that maybe have earned the right to like have it be their game a little bit more. Jack Flaherty being one of them.
Rodon
Flaherty being one of them. I think you could even argue that Tyone and Darvish are both kind of guys that I feel like you have to maybe let them have a bad inning before you take them out.
Yeah.
Ciccone, Early, Schlittler, the first sign of trouble, if their manager doesn't really like how the body language is, love how things are going, they're out. I'll tell you right now. They are not going to mess around. How quick did Cora go get Bayo yesterday? 2 1/3? Well, same thing will be for Early. If he's in trouble, he's out. And I think Schlittler will be the same way. I don't think Boone's going to mess around there. I think he will go to who would the other starter be, Brian? Who would be the guy behind him?
For what team are we looking at?
For the Yankees, who would be behind Schlittler in your opinion? As a starter. I know I'm trying to think about it.
They got Blackburn and they got Warren.
Oh, it's probably Warren. It'll be Warren. Yeah, if you see Schlittler in even like the slightest bit of trouble, it'll be high leverage bullpen arm to get out of the inning. Will Warren starting the next inning. That's what you'll see, and that's why those numbers are so low. Those outs props.
Yeah, I don't think Boone's going to want to use Devin Williams, but I've been thinking that all season. Devin Williams must have like pictures of Boone's wife or something because he keeps using him despite getting tanked every time he goes in there. I don't understand Boone's decisions sometimes.
He pitched yesterday and looked pretty good.
He was good yesterday.
In him, and they want him to want to come back and play in New York, so they're trying not to get on his bad side. But I don't. This has never been a place for him. He played in Milwaukee. It doesn't have the pressure on him like you do in New York. Certain guys just don't have it when it comes to pressure situations. So hats off to any Yankee or Met or well, really not the Dodgers, but a Red Sox who has to deal with that kind of media every single day. I wouldn't want to do it.
True. I mean, we see good pitchers go to New York and fail, like Sonny Gray. There's a ton of them. Yeah. And then they go somewhere else and they excel. Was Greinke there? No, he went to the Dodgers. Anyways, it's pitchers like that who excel at the Royals and Indians and are terrible in New York. It happens all the time. Yeah, very true. Okay.
Bryan, refresh my memory here with the line. So I'm going to use the over in Tigers Guardians. That's what I've decided to do for the parlay. Yeah. So we'll know if we're live or not after that first game. Bryan, what do we have for a Tigers Guardians over 7 and the Tigers money line and also the Yankees?
Yeah, Detroit over 7 is minus 118. The Yankees are minus 166. I have Detroit at plus 107. If you don't like a 3-team parlay, and since 2 of us, I've got Detroit and you have the over 7, maybe the Detroit team total, and make it a 2-team parlay. Just bet the Detroit team total and the Yankees for those interested. Let's just take a quick look at the team total for Detroit. 3.5 under minus 125. So you're laying about at 105 on the over 3.5. You need 4 runs for Detroit if you want to make it a 2-team parlay instead of a 3.
And that is making a lot of sense too. The Yankees have Heel or Warren, so the Yankees have pretty much a plethora of choices where Boston doesn't. So interesting.
I mean, I still don't think Boston would be, knowing how he manages. I don't think he'd be that worried about pulling early if he has to. He's got enough. He has enough options. He can go back to Tolle for a couple innings. He only threw a few pitches last night. The goal is going to be to get the ball to Chapman. He didn't pitch yesterday. I know he warmed up, but that will be the goal. And I certainly think if it does end up with the ball in Chapman's hands, you got to like the Red Sox chances. Go ahead.
I think
Bryan.
That's crazy if you're relying on Aroldis Chapman.
Oh, he's the
I'm
best.
just saying if the game's on the line, who else do you want?
This season he was good, but how was he last season?
He's a Hall of Famer. I do want to point out since
last season.
Luis Heel is on the inactive. He's not.
Yeah, Heel is not on the roster. Yeah, you won't see.
Really? I just looked. Okay.
No,
yeah.
I think
Chapman's having a good season, but
yeah, he's on the IL.
Chapman is having an elite season. I mean, at one point in time, he retired like 50
He's going to get votes for Cy Young Award. He'll get a couple.
He is, but he's the head case.
All right, quick. Yeah, I mean, even he pitched himself into trouble and then blew away like the Yankees in 3 straight at bats yesterday, and that was a bad outing for him 2 days ago. If he's on, he won't even put a base runner on. So. All right, here one question because we haven't gone to the chat as much since we know what games we're going to talk about. I want to make sure we're getting the chat involved, and we have a couple minutes. So, Gam Junkie, I think is what that's an abbreviation for. I love that. Says, does anyone think the longer break for Philly is a negative, and the Dodgers have been playing real game situation a plus? If I remember last year, the wild cards did well at the beginning of the series. It's an interesting conversation because none of those teams that got the week off want to be playing in these games. It's not like other sports where it's like you don't want to be in these best of 3 where it's like you lose one and suddenly you might be going home. Mm-hmm. So I think all the teams that are rested have an advantage. I really do. Now, is one of these wild card teams going to come out and maybe be hot? Yeah, it's certainly possible. for me, I still prefer the scenario that the team that got the week off is in, more so than the team that had to play in the wild card rounds. Let's start with Bryan. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, the team that got the bye is obviously a chance to rest up your players a little bit, get your probably more importantly, get your starting rotation in gear for the next series, a 5-game series as opposed to the 3. But I fully understand the having not played for a while, which is why a couple of the teams have had inter-squad matchups and things like that. Okay, Ralph Michaels is coming over with some information.
Okay, guys, some TNA. Adam, to answer your question, teams that have had the bye since 2016 have gone 16-6, average line of minus 179. So that is still plus 13.8 ROI.
That's amazing that we just had Ralph in the show like that. And he just had that stat ready.
I just need to move in with them, and I think it'll help me by handicapping so much better.
Incredible stuff.
Nice.
That's great. That's really to have that number to quantify it is huge. I didn't realize it was that lopsided. Go ahead, TB.
Yeah, regarding the long break, it throws people off their routine a little bit, but being rested kind of trumps that negative. Having all your guys rested and ready to go and fresh is huge, considering you just came off 6 months of every day straight playing baseball. So Ralph's stats make a lot of sense to me. Your pitchers, it's just like getting back into spring training and starting to go again. But yeah, I think it's nothing but good.
And also interesting that, you're going to get into a scenario going into the weekend where there's a lot of, it's going to be tempting to look at some of those underdog prices and what Ralph's saying, average line of like minus 170, minus 175. A lot of those teams that have been off for the week are going to be favored. And it seems like with good reason. So maybe you're going to have to pick your spots carefully. I think if you want to sort of like ride the team from this week into the next series, I think, someone will get hot and win that series. And make no mistake about it. One of those teams that's been off all week will come out flat and will likely end up going home. It's just from a blanket standpoint, I don't necessarily think you want to just be like riding every team that wins a wild card series into the next round. And Ralph's numbers sort of suggest that being the case, that you wouldn't want us to do that, or that you wouldn't want to do that. The parlay, as we wrap the show up here, 3-teamers. So yeah, so Bryan and I are going to use the same game. We're going to use a side and a total. Listen, you could do 2-teamers and take one with the side and one with the total if you want to just give yourself a little bit more chance to be live into Tokyo Brandon's leg. But either way, we've got Tigers on the money line for Bryan. I'm going to use the over 7 in that game. So Tigers money line for Bryan. Tigers Guardians over 7, full game for me. You should have no problem parlaying the two of those together. And then Tokyo Brandon's going to go Yankees minus 165. That 3-teamer plus 521. As long as we've got like 3 or 4 games in a day, we'll continue to do the parlay. We need a win. We had our nice winner, couple winners 2 weeks ago, and then we've lost them ever since. We are still slightly ahead. So we really need to win one of these. And we will keep doing the parlays until there's only like 1 or 2 games, and we're just not going to do a parlay because there's only 1 or 2 games. We will have a show tomorrow. So there was some confusion with that. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., total bases. We really should take a second to promote. We haven't done a lot of that this show. Bases 99 works for, that's a coupon that gets you the rest of the playoffs for your chosen handicapper at a discount. And as TB, I believe, said at the beginning of the show, all non-5% plays are going to be $9, all playoffs. But that basis 99 coupon, we'll all probably have a 5% or 2 at some point. Those are still $35. That package will quickly pay for itself pretty much the second someone plays a 5% play. So anyone else have anything to promote before we're off air here?
I still have that package going, and hockey season starts on the 7th, 5 days from now. Number 1 career over at Wager Talk in their 11-year history in hockey net profit. Also number 1 in Major League Baseball net profit. You get a savings of $100 on the hockey, and you get the rest of the baseball for free. Just go over to the site right now, and that's available for a few more days left. And we're getting a few people getting it now, and I would recommend that if you're looking for long-term service from a guy who's giving you a lot of winners.
I have a Japanese basketball package. Japanese basketball starts this weekend. It's actually my most profitable sport, believe it or not. And there's a package discounted at my page at Wager Talk for that. Also, any non-American sports, including KBO baseball, Japanese baseball, international basketball, we're allowed to price at half price. So those are up always. And Major League Baseball plays all $9 for the rest of the season, non-5% plays.
We're back tomorrow, 9 a.m. We will look at Saturday's game. So by the end of the night tonight, we will have all four lineups set for, or all four matchups set for Saturday. I expect to have lines for them. Usually, like these other sites are like DraftKings or FanDuel, someone's going to have Saturday's lines up tonight at some point. So we should have something to go off of there. And I guess we'll be probably one of the first ones sort of looking at those Saturday games. So we'll be doing our normal show with the Saturday matchups. And I think for the most part, we're going to be back doing like as long as there's games, we'll be doing shows. So that I believe is the plan. There's going to be some days where we're probably not going to make the full hour if there's one game, but we'll have a show for you regardless. One more time, the parlay: Tigers money line, Tigers Guardians over 7, Yankees money line plus 521 on that 3-teamer. Hopefully we got a win today, and either way, we'll be back in the morning. More total bases tomorrow, Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.